Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to Investment. And we're taking one question, and it's a lot of questions we went through a lot during COVID from existing tenants, our consulting work, and our personal tenants as well, too. So the title is Advise on Retail Tenants Asking for Rent Reduction Due to Economy. Our tenant has reported a 30% drop in their revenue for 2023, and some product sales dropped 50%. It's a big swing for them year over year. They're asking for a 30% drop in rent. What do people do usually? I'd rather not drop 30% in base rent. I'm thinking to drop just 15% in base rent for 9 months, but put triple net clause of no more than 10% increase month over month and year over year. Don't understand that fully, but I will try to understand it with the context here. So a lot of people who are real retail owners or office owners have seen this request come from tenants quite a bit in COVID. I mean, we had a forced lockdown and we were in a position, because it's not tenants' fault. They had a economy drop because they were actually forced to close in many states. In some states open sooner than later, but that's, I guess, all the history behind that. So this is essentially a couple of things you have to take a look at. I know the economy is not great. Some people argue yes, that it's great. Some people argue no. But overall, I think the health of the consumers are changing. It's getting tougher. So when they have a drop in 30%, of course, you want to help your tenants out, especially if there were tenants, long-standing tenants in your building that have good track record. And as an example, if they're there for 10 years and they never miss payments, and because of unforeseen circumstances or just life happening, their sales drop in their business. And it can be an anomaly, it can be a programmatic issue in the future, but you do want to help them out, right? So number one, you really need to figure out if the 30% drop was something that was done voluntarily because their management change or their business model change or one of the principles passed, then that can be a progressive issue for you. So even though you give them a 30% reduction, are they going to be able to make that back later in the future? So that's something you have to kind of gauge and speak with your tenants fully to understand. That's one. Also come up with a plan how they're gonna make you whole. A second thing you want to take a look at is, even though you give them a 30% reduction on the base rent, you can't modify and say, hey, the new rent's gonna be, I'm gonna use an example, $1 per square foot, but I'm giving you a 30% discount, so it's gonna be 70 cents. Because what happens is if you do that, it's gonna devalue your property value, because as you all know, if you see other videos that we make, commercial real estate is really based on your future pro forma. So that if your property was acquiring $1 per square foot, and it drops to 70 cents, then if you're going to refinance the property in a year or two, you're not going to get the right proceeds because the valuation of the property is going to significantly drop. Just do the math, right? If you're collecting $1,000 a year is a 6 cap, you're going to have a higher value versus, $700 and drive by 6 cap. So then you don't want to devalue your face value. So what you have to structure is essentially something called deferred payment or blend and extend. So if they have 2 years remaining, you might give them a reduction of like free rent. Don't do it as in like, hey, it's 30% drop because it devalues, like I said. So give them 2-3 months of deferment, not relinquishment, deferment. So then those money that they should pay you gets blended over additional years of the lease term. So that's how most landlords will navigate that. Long as they have a good story and you're happy and satisfied with their business plan to turn the business around to make that payment. Okay? So just make sure that you understand that. Lastly is, if you have lender on the property, like if you have a bank that's giving you money for the property, you have to get your lender's approval. There's no way unilaterally you can make that decision because the property is collateralized to the bank, and there's usually estoppels and SNDAs, all that good provisions that banks put in. So even though you want to do it and you come to conclusion, you have to run it by the bank. And the biggest reason is when you have a reduction, how strong is your net operating income for that property to pay their debt service? So if it goes below your DSCR, which is debt service coverage ratio, they're going to reject that. So that's something that you really have to understand. If you have no lender, then it's all up to you, however you want to, you have a full discretion of how you collect your money. I'm going to be honest with you. Most of these tenants that drop like that, 30%, unless it was like an anomaly of 1 quarter but it seems like it's year over year. And that means their business model is flawed or something is wrong. So the next year, they're not going to jump back up. So they're going to start struggling. So yeah, it's inevitable. I'm going to say about 70% of the tenants who ask for that are usually going to not do well. They'll BK or they'll abandon the space. So it's kind of understand that risk is on you as landlord to vet. So hope that was helpful. And I think the last question, triple net. I think you're saying base rent and you're trying to reduce maybe your triple net too. Do not reduce your triple nets. Do not reduce your triple nets. Do not reduce your triple nets. If you can give them free rent or even like net rent, which is deferment. So their base rent is kind of deferred, but even those times they still have to pay your triple net, because the most important thing is you're going to have a big impact on your leakage, because even though they're not paying you rent, you still have to pay the property taxes, the electricity bill, the landscaper, the painters, the repair and maintenance. So you really need to make sure that tenants at least still pay your triple nets on that retail project. If you found this content helpful, please like, subscribe, and follow us. Thank you very much.